The first time I heard the knocking, I thought it was just the mountain settling. That's what they tell you, anyway. Wood creaks, rock shifts, old tunnels breathe. You get used to it if you spend enough time underground. At least, that's what I believed before I went down into the Black Hollow mine. It wasn't even supposed to be active anymore. The kind of place people only talked about in passing, half warning, half story. An abandoned copper and tin mine tucked deep into the hills, its entrance swallowed by time and overgrowth. Most of the locals avoided it, not out of fear exactly, but respect, because of what used to be heard down there. The old miners had a name for it. They called them Tommyknockers. Small spirits, they said, not taller than a child, living inside the walls of the mine itself, knocking on the rock, not randomly, but deliberately. A signal, a warning. When a tunnel was about to collapse, when gas pockets were building, when something dangerous was coming, they would knock. And if you listened, really listened, you could survive. That's what the stories claimed. And for a long time, those stories were treated as more than just folklore. Back in the 1800s, Cornish miners, men who had crossed oceans bringing their craft with them, swore by it. They worked the deepest, most dangerous tunnels in America, and they carried their beliefs with them. They didn't laugh about Tommyknockers. They respected them, left food for them, spoke to them, thanked them, because those who ignored the knocking didn't always come back. But over time, the stories changed, or maybe people did. Mining became more modern, more calculated, less superstitious, and eventually, the Tommyknockers became nothing more than a story told to scare new workers, or entertain tourists, or explain the unexplained. That's what I thought too, until I got the call. The job wasn't complicated. A survey, just a structural inspection before sealing the mine permanently. The company wanted to make sure there were no collapses near the surface that could cause problems later. Standard procedure. They didn't need a full crew. Just one person to go down, take readings, document the tunnels, and come back up. Simple, quick, routine. That's what they told me. They didn't mention the history, didn't mention the accidents, didn't mention why the last team refused to go back in. I only found that out later from the man who handed me the keys. He was older, weathered in the way only people who've spent years around places like that can be. He didn't say much at first, just gave me the map, the equipment, the usual instructions, but when I turned to leave, he stopped me. "Don't ignore it," he said. I frowned. Ignore what? He hesitated, just for a second, like he was deciding whether or not to say it out loud. Then, the knocking. I almost laughed, almost, because the way he said it, there was no humor in it, no exaggeration, no attempt to make it sound like a joke, just certainty. I shook my head slightly. Old mind noise, I've worked worse. His expression didn't change. Maybe, he said quietly. Then he added something I didn't understand at the time. Just remember, not every knock is meant to help you. That stuck with me, not because I believed it, but because of the way he said it. Like it wasn't advice, like it was a warning he had learned the hard way. Still, I went, because that's what you do. You take the job, you follow the map, you trust your training, and you don't let old stories get in your head. The entrance to Black Hollow Mine was smaller than I expected, half collapsed, hidden behind thick brush and loose rock. If you didn't know exactly where to look, you'd miss it completely. The air that came out of it was cold, not just underground cold, different, still, heavy, like it had been sitting there untouched for a long time, waiting. I switched on my headlamp, checked my gear, took one last look at the daylight behind me, and then I stepped inside. The darkness swallowed the entrance almost immediately. The light from outside faded faster than it should have, like it didn't want to follow me in. The tunnel stretched forward in a narrow line, old wooden supports lining the walls, some cracked, some warped, all of them older than anything I'd worked around before. The deeper I went, the quieter it became, not silent, but controlled, like the mind had its own rhythm, a slow, almost breathing stillness that settled around you the further you walked. I checked my equipment, everything normal, air quality stable, no immediate signs of structural instability. Just an old mine, exactly like I expected, exactly like it should have been. And then I heard it, soft, faint, almost easy to miss. A knock, not loud, not sharp, just deliberate. I stopped walking, held my breath, listened, nothing, just the quiet hum of the mine around me. I exhaled slowly, shifted my weight. Rock settling, I muttered under my breath. That's all it was. It had to be. I took another step forward. And that's when it came again. Closer this time. Clearer. 3 distinct taps. Knock, knock, knock. I froze because this time there was no mistaking it. That wasn't random. That was natural. That wasn't the mind settling. That was something else, something intentional, something responding. The air around me felt heavier, the silence deeper, like the entire tunnel was waiting to see what I would do next. And in that moment, standing alone in a place that hadn't been touched in decades, I remembered what the old man had said. Don't ignore it. My throat tightened slightly because suddenly that didn't sound like superstition anymore. It sounded like instruction. And somewhere deep in the darkness ahead, something knocked again. The second set of knocks didn't echo the way they should have. That was the first thing that bothered me. Sound travels strangely underground. You learn that early. It bounces, stretches, distorts. A single tap can sound like it's coming from the different directions at once. But this was clean, direct, like it wasn't moving through the tunnel at all, like it was already next to me. Knock, knock, knock. Same rhythm, same pacing, deliberate. I didn't move at first, didn't speak, didn't even shift my weight, because something in me, something instinctive, told me that reacting too quickly might be the wrong move. Instead, I listened. The mine held still around me. No shifting rock, no distant creaks, no airflow. Just that heavy, suffocating quiet pressing in from every side. And then, another knock. Closer. Not ahead of me this time. To my left. From inside the wall. I turned slowly, raised the beam of my headlamp toward the wooden supports lining the tunnel. The light cut across rough stone, aged timber, and damp mineral streaks, but there was nothing there. No movement, no cracks forming, no sign of anything that could explain what I just heard. And yet, I knew exactly where it had come from, because I felt it. Not physically, not like vibration, something else, like awareness, like something on the other side of that rock had just acknowledged me. My grip tightened slightly around the equipment in my hand. All right, I said quietly, more to myself than anything else. Old mine, old sounds. The words didn't feel convincing, not even to me. Still, I took another step forward, then another, slow, measured, trying to keep my pace steady, trying to act like nothing had changed, but everything had. Because now I wasn't just walking through a tunnel, I was listening for something, waiting for it, expecting it. And that changed the space completely. The map in my hand showed a main shaft ahead, branching into three smaller tunnels. I was supposed to take readings at each point, mark structural integrity, then head back out. Simple, routine. But the deeper I went, the less routine it felt. The air grew colder, not dramatically, just enough to notice, just enough to make each breath feel slightly heavier than the last. And the silence, it wasn't empty anymore. It felt occupied, like something was moving just outside my range of perception, keeping pace, not rushing, not approaching, just there, watching, waiting. I reached the first junction sooner than expected. Three tunnels splitting off in different directions, each one darker than the last. My headlamp barely reached more than a few feet into them before the light was swallowed completely. I checked the map again, confirmed my position. The left tunnel was the shortest. That's where I was supposed to start. I stepped toward it, and the knocking returned, louder this time, sharpened, urgent. Knock, knock, knock. Not spaced out like before, faster, more insistent. From the left tunnel, I froze, because now there was no mistaking it. That wasn't random. That wasn't coincidence. That was a signal. My chest tightened slightly because I knew what the story said. The old miners believed, the Tommyknockers warned you, told you where not to go, gave you just enough time to change direction, and standing there in that moment, with the sound coming clearly from the left, that belief didn't feel so ridiculous anymore. I stepped back, just slightly, away from the tunnel. The knocking stopped immediately, not faded, not slowed. Stopped, like it had served its purpose. I stood there, staring into the darkness, waiting, listening. Nothing. Just silence again, but different now, satisfied. I swallowed slowly, then shifted my weight toward the middle tunnel inside instead, and the moment I did, nothing happened, no knocking, no sound, no reaction at all. Just that same heavy stillness. My breath came out slower this time, more controlled, because now I was thinking about it differently, not as noise, not as coincidence, but as something with intent, something that had just guided me. I didn't question it, didn't argue with it. I just moved forward into the middle tunnel, step by step, careful, measured, listening, and for a while, there was nothing. No knocking, no sound, no presence, just the mind, old, silent, empty, almost normal. I started to relax, just slightly, enough to let my shoulders drop, enough to take a deeper breath. Maybe that was it. Maybe I had overreacted. Maybe the first sounds really had been the mind settling. Maybe. A sound echoed behind me, sharp, sudden, long enough to make me flinch. Knock. I spun around instantly, heart pounding, light cutting back toward the tunnel I had just left. But there was nothing there, no movement, no shift, no sign of anything at all, and then it came again, from behind me, deeper in the tunnel, closer, knock. Single, deliberate, not urgent this time, not warning. Something else, something slower, more controlled. My chest tightened again, because now the pattern had changed. Before, it had stopped me, turned me away, warned me. But this was this wasn't doing that. This wasn't telling me to leave. It wasn't guiding me back. It was leading me forward. One step, one knock, a pause, then another, like something marking a path, drawing me deeper. My breath slowed, not because I was calm, because something inside me was trying to keep pace with it, trying to understand it, trying to follow it. And that's when I remembered the second part of the story, the part people didn't like to repeat, the part the old man had warned me about. Not every knock is meant to help you. I didn't move, didn't follow, didn't respond. I just stood there in the middle of that narrow, silent tunnel, with the sound waiting in the darkness ahead. And for the first time since I entered the mine, I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel before. Not curiosity, not funk confusion, something deeper, something sharper, something colder. Because now, I wasn't sure if I had avoided danger or walked directly into something else. I should have turned back right there. That's the part that keeps replaying in my head. Not the knocking, not what came after, just that moment, standing in the tunnel, hearing that single, deliberate knock ahead of me, and choosing not to leave because it was a choice. Even if it didn't feel like one at the time, the sound came again. Knock. Same distance, same spacing, like it hadn't moved, like it was waiting for me to catch up. My grip tightened around the flashlight. I told myself to ignore it, to stick to the map, to finish the job and get out. But that wasn't what I did. Instead, I took a step forward, and the moment my foot touched the ground, the knock came again. Knock. Closer now. Not by much, just enough. Enough to confirm what I was starting to realize. It wasn't random. It was adjusting to me. My chest tightened slightly as I stood there, listening, trying to map it out in my head. Distance, direction, pattern. But none of it made sense in a normal way, because the sound didn't behave like something traveling through rock. It behaved like something positioning itself, deliberately, intentionally, waiting just ahead of me. I exhaled slowly, tried to steady my breathing, tried to bring logic back into it. Echo, I muttered, just echo and structure. But the words felt hollow because deep down I already knew. Echoes don't wait, echoes don't lead, echoes don't pause for you to follow. I took another step, and again, knock, closer. The tunnel narrowed as I moved deeper. The wooden supports became less frequent, older, more brittle. Some of them had already collapsed, leaving jagged edges where the ceiling had dipped lower than it should have. I checked the map again, frowning. This didn't match. The tunnel I was in, it wasn't supposed to extend this far. According to the layout, it should have reached a dead end already, but I hadn't. It kept going, slowly curving, dropping slightly downward, like it had been carved out further than recorded, or like I wasn't where I thought I was anymore. That thought sat heavy in my chest, because I had been paying attention, counting steps, tracking direction. I hadn't made a wrong turn, and yet something wasn't lining up. The knock came again, closer, clearer, and this time there was something different about it. A second sound, faint, almost hidden beneath the first, like something scraping lightly against the rock. My body went still, because that wasn't part of the stories. The old miners talked about knocking, clean, sharp, precise, but this was something else, something physical, something moving. My throat went dry because now I couldn't ignore the possibility anymore. Whatever was marking that sound, it wasn't just a signal, It wasn't just a noise. It was something with presence, something that existed in that space, and it was getting closer. I turned slightly, angling the beam of my headlamp toward the direction of the sound. The light stretched forward, cutting through the darkness, and for a brief moment I thought I saw something. Not clearly, not fully, just a shift, a subtle movement along the wall, low to the ground, gone the second the light hit it directly. I froze, my breathing shallow now, because I knew what I had seen, or at least what I thought I had seen. Small, quick, too low to be human, too controlled to be random, and then the knock came again, right in front of me. Knock. No distance left, no echo, just there. I didn't move, couldn't, because something in me understood what that meant. Whatever had been ahead of me, whatever had been leading me, it wasn't ahead anymore. It was here, right in front of me, in the dark space just beyond where my light could reach, and it was waiting. The silence stretched, heavy, pressing in, and for a moment nothing happened. No movement, no sound, just that unbearable stillness. Then, slowly, something shifted. Not in the tunnel, in the sound itself. The next knock didn't come from in front of me, it came from behind. Knock. My heart slammed against my chest as I turned instantly, light snapping back the way I came, empty, nothing, and then, from the wall to my right, knock, then left, knock, then above, knock. My breathing broke because now it wasn't one, it wasn't a single presence. The sound wasn't leading anymore. It was surrounding, moving, circling, fast, precise, like something or multiple things were shifting through the rock itself, keeping pace with it, keeping pace with me, tracking me, testing me. The knocks came faster now, not frantic, not random, controlled, deliberate, different rhythms overlapping slightly, but never colliding. Like communication, like something speaking in a language I couldn't understand. My chest tightened painfully because now the stories didn't feel like stories anymore. They felt like warnings I hadn't fully understood. The Tommyknockers didn't just warn minors, they watched them, followed them, stayed close to them, and sometimes they led them somewhere. The thought hit hard because suddenly everything made sense. The first knocks had turned me away from the left tunnel, saved me, guided me, but the ones I was hearing now, these weren't doing that. These weren't warning. These were guiding, deeper, further, away from the map, away from the exit, into something else. The knocking stopped all at once, complete silence, so sudden it made my ears ring. I stood there, barely breathing, waiting, listening, and then a new sound, not a knock, a voice, not spoken, not heard in the air, felt, right at the edge of the thought. A pull, a direction, clear, unmistakable. This way. My body shifted slightly before I even realized what I was doing. My foot moved forward, toward the darkness, toward where the sound had been, and in that moment, one final thought broke through, sharp, terrifying, unavoidable. I wasn't being warned anymore. I was being led. I stopped myself mid-step, barely, my boot hovered just above the ground, held there by something that didn't feel like strength or control, just resistance. The kind that comes from a part of you that hasn't fully given in yet, because the moment that thought formed, I was being led. Something inside me shifted, not panic, not fear, something colder, awareness. Slowly, carefully, I lowered my foot back to where it had been. Didn't take the step, didn't follow, and for a second, nothing happened. No knock, no movement, no reaction at all. The tunnel remained still, silent, heavy, like it was waiting, testing. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to think clearly. This wasn't random anymore. There were patterns now, two kinds of knocks. The first, sharp, urgent, stopping me, turning me away. The second, slower, measured, leading me forward, drawing me deeper, and I had followed it without even questioning it. That realization sat heavy in my chest because it meant something simple, something dangerous. I couldn't trust the sound anymore, not all of it, maybe not any of it. A faint noise broke the silence, soft, close, tap, not a knock this time, lighter, quieter, different. I didn't move, didn't turn, just listened. It came again from the wall to my left, tap, tap. Not urgent, not commanding, almost hesitant. My eyes shifted slowly toward it, the beam of my headlamp dragging across the rough stone until it settled on a narrow section between two old wooden supports. And for a moment I thought I saw something, a small indentation, a slight shift in the rock surface, like something pressing outward from the other side. Then, tap. Right where I was looking, I froze, because this was different, completely different. This wasn't echo, this wasn't distance, this was contact. Something was right there, on the other side of that thin layer of rock, and it knew exactly where I was standing. My breath slowed instinctively, carefully, like I was afraid even the sound of it might change whatever was happening. The tapping came again, softer this time, more spaced out, not trying to get my attention, not demanding anything, just present. I stared at the spot, trying to make sense of it, trying to apply logic where logic didn't belong. Gas pocket, I whispered to myself. Pressure shift. But the words didn't stick, because pressure doesn't tap, pressure doesn't hesitate, pressure doesn't wait for you to notice it. Another sound echoed from deeper in the tunnel, loud, sharp, knock, knock, knock. My head snapped forward instantly, the direction I had been about to walk. That same leading rhythm, stronger now, more insistent, like it was trying to pull me back, remind me, continue. But the tapping at the wall, it didn't change, didn't stop, didn't react to the louder sound at all. It stayed steady, quiet, close, and suddenly the difference became clear. The loud knocking, that was trying to move me. The tapping, that was trying to reach me. My chest tightened because now this wasn't just about sound, this was about intent. Two separate things, two separate signals, one pulling me deeper, one holding me here. I stepped back from the tunnel ahead, just one step. The loud knocking stopped instantly, cut off like it had never existed, but the tapping, it remained, soft, consistent, closer now that I was paying attention to it. I moved toward the wall slowly, carefully, each step measured, controlled, because something about this, it didn't feel dangerous, not in the same way. It didn't feel like it was trying to lure me. It felt like it was trying to warn me, but not urgently, not aggressively, just quietly, like it wasn't allowed to do more. I stopped just inches from the rock, close enough that I could see every crack, every grain of mineral embedded in its surface. The tapping came again, right in front of me. Tap, I raised my hand slowly, hesitated for just a second, then pressed my palm against the wall. The reaction was immediate, not physical, not something I could see, something I felt, a faint vibration, weak, fragile, like something on the other side was responding, not pushing, not breaking through, just acknowledging. My breath caught because it wasn't strong, it wasn't forceful. Whatever was there, it didn't feel powerful. It felt small. And then, for the first time, the pattern shifted. The tapping changed rhythm, not random, not meaningless, structured, deliberate, slow. Tap, tap, pause, tap. Then again, tap, tap, pause, tap. My mind tried to catch up, to recognize it, to translate it, and then it hit me. A pattern, not perfect, not clean, but close enough. My throat tightened because I had heard something like this before, not in a mind, not in a story, in training. Basic signal patterns, simple, primitive, used when nothing else works. My voice came out quieter than I expected. No. The tapping sound stopped for just a second. Then, tap, tap, stronger this time, more certain. My chest tightened because now there was no doubt. Whatever was on the other side of that wall, it wasn't leading me. It wasn't guiding me deeper. It was telling me something. Something simple, something urgent, something clear. Don't. A sharp knock exploded from the tunnel ahead, louder than anything before, violent, immediate. Knock. The wall beneath my hand went still, completely. The tapping stopped, the presence vanished, gone like it had never been there, and the silence that followed was different. Not calm, not empty, watching, waiting. I didn't move, didn't breathe, because now I understood something I hadn't before. The Tommyknockers weren't one thing, they weren't one presence. Some warned, some watched, and some didn't want you to leave at all. My hand stayed against the wall long after the tapping stopped. I don't know why. Maybe I was waiting for it to come back. Maybe I didn't want to face the alternative, because the moment I pulled away, the reality of where I was would settle in again. And now, that reality had changed. Slowly, I lowered my hand. The rock felt cold, dead, completely still. Whatever had been there, whatever had reached back, was gone. And in its place, nothing. A deep hollow nothing that felt worse than the presence itself, because now I knew the difference. There had been something trying to stop me, and something else trying to make me further. And I had already listened to the wrong one. A sharp crack echoed somewhere deeper in the tunnel, not a knock, not controlled, natural, violent, rock shifting. My head snapped forward instinctively, and for the first time since I'd entered the mine, I felt something I couldn't ignore anymore. Fear. Real. Immediate. Because now, that first set of knocks, the ones that had turned me away, the ones that had felt like warnings, they came back to tell me all at once. What if I had ignored those too? What if that left tunnel, the one I never entered, had collapsed? My chest tightened hard. Because if that was true, then the warning had been real, and I had trusted it. But then, I had also trusted the second one, the one that led me here. That thought settled in like something heavy and cold, because it meant one simple thing. Not all warnings come from the same place. And not all guides want the same outcome. A faint sound echoed behind me. Knock. Soft. Single. I didn't turn, didn't react, because I didn't need to. I already knew what that was. The slower rhythm. The one that led, the one that waited, the one that didn't rush you because it knew you would follow anyway. Another knock, closer this time. Knock. My jaw tightened because now it wasn't trying to guide me forward anymore. It was behind me, closing distance, adjusting the way it had before. Only now I wasn't moving. I wasn't moving, and it was. A cold weight settled in my stomach because that wasn't part of the pattern I had understood. Before, it responded to my movement. Now, it was acting on its own. A third knock, closer, still, knock. I turned slowly, carefully, the beam of my headlamp cutting back through the narrow tunnel behind me, empty, just the path I had taken, twisting slightly, fading into darkness. Nothing there, nothing visible, but the feeling, that was different, stronger, clearer. Something was there, just beyond where the light could reach, not hiding, not retreating, waiting, watching. My breath came out slow, controlled, because panic wouldn't help. Movement without thinking wouldn't help. And right now, everything felt like it was waiting for me to make a mistake. The knock came again, right at the edge of the light. Knock. And this time, I saw it. Not clearly, not fully. Just a shape, low, close to the ground. Small. Too small to be a person, too defined to be part of the tunnel. It didn't move when the light hit it, didn't retreat, didn't react. It just stayed there, still, watching. My throat went dry because now this wasn't sound anymore. This wasn't theory. This wasn't something I could explain away. This was something real, something present, something that had been moving through the walls, now standing in the open. The shape shifted slightly, just enough to confirm it wasn't my eyes playing tricks. A small movement, deliberate, controlled, and then the knock came again, but not from the walls, not from the tunnel, from it. A quick, precise tap against the ground. Knock. My chest tightened painfully because that had changed everything. The sound wasn't separate. It wasn't echoing from something unseen. It was the thing. And there wasn't just one, because as I stood there, trying to process what I was seeing, another knock came from the wall to my right. Knock. And another from above. Knock. And another farther down the tunnel. Knock. My breath broke because now the pattern I had noticed earlier, the different rhythms, the different intentions, they weren't coming from one source. They were coming from many, some in walls, some in tunnels, and at least one right in front of me. The small shape shifted again, and this time it stepped forward, just enough to enter the edge of my light, and I saw it, not clearly, not completely, but enough, small, distorted, always human in shape, but wrong. Its proportions slightly off, its movements too precise, too controlled, and its surface, it wasn't solid the way it should have been. It looked like it belonged to the rock itself, like it had formed from it, or lived inside it for so long. It had become part of it. My heart pounded hard in my chest because now there was no denying it. The stories weren't exaggerations, they weren't metaphors, they weren't warnings wrapped in superstition. They were observations. Something real had been down here all along, something the old miners had learned to listen to, something they had learned to respect, and something I had walked directly into. The small figure tilted slightly, just enough to suggest awareness, recognition, and then it knocked again. Knock. Closer. Clearer. And this time, there was no confusion left about what it meant. It wasn't warning me. It wasn't helping me. It was calling me. And somewhere behind me, deeper in the tunnel, another knock answered. The answering knock didn't echo, it responded. That was the difference. Same tone, same weight, but it came from deeper in the tunnel behind me, farther than anything I could see, like something had heard the one in front of me and answered back. My chest tightened because now this wasn't just a presence, this was communication between them about me. The small figure in front of me didn't move right away. It stayed exactly where it was, just at the edge of my light, its shape barely defined, like it didn't fully belong in open space. Its head, or what I assumed was its head, tilted slightly as if listening, waiting for the response. And when that distant knock came, it reacted, not dramatically, just a subtle shift forward, a single step. Knock, closer. My body locked in place because now the pattern was clear. One called, another answered, and this one in front of me, was the one closest, the one that didn't need the walls anymore. A faint sound came from the rock behind me. Tap, soft, fragile, almost lost beneath the heavier rocks. My breath caught because I recognized it instantly. The same tapping from before. The one that had warned me. The one that had said, "Don't." It came again, more urgent this time. Tap, tap. I didn't turn, didn't break my focus, because the figure in front of me had taken another step. And this time, it didn't stop at the edge of the light. It entered it fully, and I saw it. Small, not taller than my waist. Its body looked like it had been carved out of the mine itself, its surface rough, uneven, layered with the same mineral streaks that lined the walls, but it wasn't solid, not completely. Parts of it seemed unstable, shifting slightly like its form wasn't fixed, like it could slide back into the rock at any moment. Its arms, too thin, hung at its sides, its fingers, longer than they should have been, tapered, sharp at the ends, not claws, not exactly, but not human either. Its face, that was the worst part, because it almost had won. A suggestion of features, intended areas where eyes should be, a faint depression where a mouth might form, but nothing defined. Nothing complete, just enough to recognize, just enough to feel wrong. It tilted its head slightly toward me and then it knocked again, this time not on the ground, not on the wall, on itself, a quick, precise tap against its own chest. Knock. My breath hitched because that felt different, more direct, more intentional, like it wasn't just making sound anymore, it was showing me something. Another knock answered from behind me, closer now. Knock, and another from the wall. Knock, then another, above, rock, knock. They were closing in, not rushing, not chaotic, organized, deliberate, forming a pattern around me. The tapping behind me grew sharper, more urgent. Tap, tap, tap. I turned my head slightly, just enough to glance toward the wall where it had come from. Nothing visible, but I could feel it. That same weak presence, still there, still trying, still pushing through something it couldn't fully break. The difference between them was unmistakable now. The one in front of me, strong, present, in control. The one in the wall, faint, restricted, almost trapped. My chest tightened because that meant something I hadn't wanted to consider. Not all of them were the same, not all of them were free, and not all of them wanted the same thing. The figure in front of me took another step, close enough now that I could see the fine cracks along its surface, the way tiny grains of rock shifted slightly as it moved, like it wasn't just part of the mind, it was the mind. And then it raised its arm, slowly, deliberately, and pointed, not at me, past me, toward the deeper tunnel behind, where the answering knocks had come from. My stomach dropped because I didn't need to think about what that meant. I wasn't asking, it wasn't suggesting, it was directing. The tapping behind me turned frantic. Tap, 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 tap. Faster now, desperate, and for the first time, I felt something clear from it. Not just warning, fear. The figure in front of me knocked again. Knock, louder, sharper. The answering knocks came immediately, multiple this time. Knock, 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 closer, surrounding, and then the figure took one final step forward, close enough that it stood just a few feet away from me, close enough that I could feel something radiating from it. Not heat, not cold, something heavier, like pressure, like the air itself had thickened around it. It knocked once more, knock, and held its position, waiting. My breath came slow, uneven, because now there was no confusion left. No misinterpretation, no room for doubt. Some of them warned you, some of them watched you, and some led you somewhere you were never meant to come back from. The tapping behind me faltered, weaker now, fading, like whatever was there was losing its ability to reach me. And as that realization settled in, one final thought broke through, sharp, terrifying, unavoidable. If I followed this one, there won't be another warning. I didn't move, not forward, not back, because now every direction felt wrong. The one in front of me stood perfectly still, its arm still raised, pointing into the deeper tunnel. It didn't repeat the gesture, didn't push, didn't rush. It didn't need to. The meaning was already clear. Behind me, the tapping was fading. Tap, weaker now, slower, like whatever had been trying to reach me was losing strength, or distance, or both. My chest tightened because I knew what that meant. Whatever was behind that wall, whatever had tried to warn me, it couldn't follow me out there. It couldn't leave me where it was. And every step I had taken deeper into the mine had taken me further away from it. The thought hit hard because that meant something simple. If I went any further, I would be completely done, completely alone with them. The figure in front of me lowered its arm slowly. Then it did something I didn't expect. It turned its back to me, not quickly, not sharply, deliberate, calm, like it already knew what I would do next. And then it started walking deeper into the tunnel, slow, measured, each step silent, except for one thing. Knock. A soft, precise tap with each movement, not random, not echoing, part of it, like it carried the sound with it. My breath came uneven because this was different. Before, it had stayed in front of me, waited for me. Now, it was moving ahead, assuming I would follow. The knocking behind me didn't answer this time. No response, no echo, no support, just silence. And that silence, that was worse, because it meant something had changed, something had decided, something had accepted the direction this was going. The tapping behind me came one last time, faint, barely there, tap, then nothing, gone completely. My jaw tightened because that was it. Whatever had been trying to stop me was no longer able to reach me. No more warnings, no more hesitation, just me and what was ahead. The figure continued walking deeper, the tunnel narrowing further, the ceiling dropping lower, the air growing heavier with every step it took. And despite everything, despite what I knew, my foot moved, one step forward, then another, slow, controlled, like I was still convincing myself I could stop at any time. But I didn't, because something inside me, something quiet and dangerous, was starting to align with it. Not fully, not completely, but enough to keep moving. The knock came again from the figure ahead. Knock. And this time, something answered, not from behind, not from the walls nearby, from deeper, much deeper. Knock. My chest tightened because that distance, that depth, it didn't feel right. The map in my hand, I glanced down at it quickly, my eyes scanning the lines, the markings, the recorded paths, and what I saw didn't match. The tunnel I was in, it wasn't supposed to connect to anything further. It was supposed to end. Dead rock, solid, no extensions, no deeper shafts, but the sound I had, the answering knock, it came from somewhere beyond that, somewhere that wasn't on the map, somewhere that shouldn't exist. My steps slowed, just slightly, because now this wasn't just about following something unknown. This was about being taken somewhere unrecorded, unmapped, unseen. The figure didn't stop, didn't turn, didn't check if I was still behind it. It just kept walking, confident, certain, like it had done this before. The knock came again. Knock, closer to the deeper sound now, more aligned, more connected, and the answer came immediately. Knock. Stronger, clearer, waiting. My breathing became shallow because now the realization settled in completely. This wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This was a system, a pattern, a structure that existed long before I stepped into that mind. Some guided you away, some stayed hidden, and some led you down paths that weren't meant to be found. Paths that didn't exist on maps. Paths that only existed for one reason, to take you somewhere else. The tunnel darkened ahead, not because of the light, but because of the space itself. It felt deeper, denser, like the darkness wasn't just absence of light, but something with weight, presence. The figure slowed slightly, not stopping, just enough to let me close the distance. And as I stepped closer, something else changed. The knocking ahead, it multiplied, not one anymore, several, layered, different rhythm overlapping. Knock, knock, knock. My chest tightened painfully because now there wasn't just one waiting at the end. There were many, and they were expecting something, expecting me. The figure in front of me stopped, finally, at the edge of a darker opening. A split in the tunnel that wasn't on any map, a descent that dropped further than my light could reach. It didn't turn, didn't look at me, it just stood there, waiting, and from below, the knocking came again, louder, clearer, calling. My breath caught because now there was no confusion left, no doubt, no misunderstanding. This wasn't about warning anymore. This wasn't about guiding. This was about arrival. And as I stood there, at the edge of something that shouldn't exist, one final thought settled in. Cold, heavy, unavoidable. Whatever was down there, it wasn't trying to scare me away. It was waiting for me to come closer. I didn't step down. Not immediately, because standing at the edge of that opening, looking into something my light couldn't reach, something shifted inside me. Not fear. Fear would have been easier. Fear pushes you back. Fear makes you run. This, this held me in place, like the decision had already been made, somewhere deeper than thought. The figure in front of me didn't turn, didn't check, didn't rush me. It just stood there at the edge as if it knew hesitation didn't matter, because hesitation wasn't resistance. It was part of the process. The knocking below came again, stronger this time, layered, not one, not two, many, different rhythms overlapping in a way that shouldn't make sense, but did, because it wasn't random, it was structured, organized, like voices speaking over each other in a language built entirely from sound. My chest tightened because now it wasn't just calling, it was coordinating. The air near the opening felt heavier, thicker, each breath slower, harder to take, not like a lack of oxygen, like something in the space itself resisted movement, resisted leaving, encouraged staying. The figure stepped down, just one step, into the darkness, and for a moment, I lost it. My light didn't reach far enough to follow. It just vanished, swallowed completely, but the knock came again. From below, knock. Closer than before, still there, still waiting. My hand tightened around the edge of the rock beside me, rough, cold, real. Something to hold on to, something to remind me I could still choose not to follow. But that thought, it felt weaker now, fainter, like distance was already forming between me and it. The tapping from before, the warning, the thing in the wall, it was gone, completely, like it had never existed at all. And that absence, that was what pushed me forward, because now there was nothing left pulling me back. I took the first step down. The ground shifted slightly under my weight, loose rock sliding just enough to make the movement feel unstable. The tunnel narrowed immediately, the ceiling dropping lower, the walls tighter, closing in, and the moment I moved, the knocking changed, not louder, closer, responding, like it had been waiting for that exact movement. The second step came easier than the third, and before I realized it, I was descending, fully committed, no longer standing at the edge, no longer deciding, just moving. The light from above faded quickly, too quickly, like it didn't belong down here, like it was being pushed back the further I went. The beam from my headlamp seemed weaker, shorter, swallowed faster by the darkness ahead, and the space, it didn't feel like a tunnel anymore. It felt like something else, something deeper, wider than it should have been, but not open and closed, containing. The figure appeared again, a few steps below me, standing still, waiting. It hadn't gone far, it didn't need to. It only moved when I did, stayed just ahead, just out of reach, just enough to keep me following. The knocks around me shifted again, no longer just below, now from the walls, from the ceiling, from behind, not surrounding me, aligning with me, keeping pace. Each step I took, a response. Knock, step, knock, step. A rhythm forming between us, a pattern I was becoming part of. My breathing slowed to match it, without thinking, without deciding. Inhale, pause, exhale, step, knock. The descent ended abruptly, not with a gradual leveling, but with a sudden opening. A wider chamber, low ceiling, rough walls, the kind of space that shouldn't exist this deep without collapsing, but it was there, holding, stable, like it had been formed intentionally. The figure stepped into the center of it and stopped. This time, it turned slowly, deliberately, and faced me. The others, I couldn't see them clearly, but I felt them everywhere, in the walls, in the ground, in the air itself. That same presence, multiplied, layered, watching. The knocking stopped, all of it, at once. Silence dropped into the space so suddenly it felt like pressure, like something sealing shut. My chest tightened because now this wasn't movement anymore. This wasn't leading. This was arrival. The figure in front of me raised its arm again, but this time it didn't point deeper. It pointed at me. My breath caught because that was new. That was different. The knocks didn't return. The others didn't move. Everything held still, focused, waiting. And then the figure knocked once, soft, precise, against its own chest. Knock. The sound didn't echo. It didn't travel. It stayed right there in the space between us. And for the first time, something inside me responded. Not physically, not consciously. A pull, a shift, a recognition, like something in me understood what that meant. The figure held its position, arm still raised, pointing, waving, and the silence, it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt expectant, like something was about to happen, something that required me. And as I stood there, in that impossible chamber, surrounded by something I couldn't fully see, one final thought settled in, cold, heavy, unavoidable. I hadn't been brought here to observe. I had been brought here to become part of it. For a moment, I didn't understand what it wanted. The figure stood there, arm raised, pointing directly at me, not past me, not behind me. Me. And the silence around us, it wasn't empty. It was focused. Every presence in that chamber, every unseen shape in the walls, every hidden movement beneath the stone, all of it was directed at one point, one place, where I stood. My breathing slowed without me telling it to. Inhale, pause, exhale, and in that stillness, I noticed something, the rhythm, not the knocking, mine. It had changed, subtly, but enough. It wasn't just my breath anymore. It was aligning with something else, something external, something surrounding me. My chest tightened because now I could feel it. A second rhythm, not in the air, not in the ground, inside me, faint, but growing, matching the pattern I had been hearing since I entered the mind. Knock. My throat went dry because I hadn't heard that one. I had felt it from inside my chest. The figure lowered its arm slowly, not breaking eye contact, if those hollow, unfinished impressions could even be called eyes. And then it knocked again, against its own chest. Knock, stronger this time, clearer. The chamber answered, not all at once, but in layers, from the walls, from the ground, from above. Knock, knock, knock. Different rhythms, different tones, but all part of the same structure, the same system. My body reacted before my mind caught up. My hand lifted slightly, not by decision, not consciously, just moved toward my own skin. My fingers hovered, hit there, just above where I had felt it. That second rhythm, that foreign presence. The figure watched, still, waiting, and something in me understood, not fully, not clearly, but enough. This wasn't about following anymore. This wasn't about being led. This was about responding, completing something. My hand pressed lightly against my chest, and the moment I did, the rhythm changed, stronger, clearer, in sync with everything around me. My breath hitched because now there was no separation, no delay. Every knock in that chamber, every movement in the walls, every subtle shift in the air, it all lined up with that pulse inside me. I wasn't hearing it anymore. I was part of it. The figure stepped closer, just one step, slow, measured, and raised its hand again, not pointing this time, reaching toward my chest. My body didn't move, didn't pull away, didn't resist because something inside me, something that didn't feel entirely mine anymore, wasn't afraid. It was ready. The knocking grew softer, not fading, refining, becoming more precise, more controlled, like the entire chamber was narrowing its focus, condensing everything into one moment, one point. The figure's hand hovered just inches from me, its surface shifting slightly, small fragments of mineral sliding along its form, unstable yet completely certain. And then it touched me, right where my hand rested. The contact was immediate and wrong, not painful, not cold, something deeper, like pressure, like something pushing through, not into my body but through the idea of it. My breath stopped because the rhythm, that second rhythm, it surged, expanded, spreading from my chest outward, up my throat, into my head, down my arms, through my hands, everywhere, all at once. And the moment it did, the chamber reacted. The knocks didn't grow louder, they synchronized perfectly, one unified rhythm. Knock. My vision blurred slightly, not from darkness, from inside, like something was shifting in the way I perceived everything around me. The figure didn't pull away. It held its hand there, maintaining contact, and through that contact, I felt something else, not a thought, not a voice, understanding, not given, shared. A realization that wasn't explained, but simply known. The Tommyknockers didn't just warn miners, they didn't just guide them, they didn't just watch, they connected, they extended themselves, piece by piece, into those who listened, those who followed, those who came too far. My chest tightened painfully because now I understood why the warnings existed, why some of them tried to stop me, why some stayed hidden, because this wasn't something you walked away from. The pressure increased, not physically, but internally, like something was being aligned, adjusted, rewritten. My thoughts slowed, not fading, just reorganizing, priorities shifting, focus narrowing. The figure finally pulled its hand back, slowly, deliberately, and as it did, the rhythm inside me didn't fade. It remained, stronger than before, clearer than before, permanent. The knocking around me softened, not stopping, just settling, returning to individual patterns, but now I could understand them, not in words, not in meaning I could explain, but in structure, in intent, in direction. My breathing steadied, perfectly in sync. Inhale, pause, exhale, knock. The figure stepped back, just slightly, and lowered its arm completely. No more gestures, no more direction, no more guidance, because it didn't need to. The others in the walls shifted subtly. I could feel them now, clearly, not separate, connected. Each one part of something larger, something ancient, something that had always been there, waiting beneath the surface, and now I was part of it too. The realization didn't come as fear, it came as clarity, cold, absolute, unavoidable. I hadn't been brought here to be lost. I hadn't been brought here to be trapped. I had been brought here to be changed. And as I stood there, breathing in perfect rhythm with the mind itself, one final truth settled in. I wasn't alone anymore. because I wasn't just in the mind. I was becoming part of it. The first thing I noticed after the contact was the silence inside my own head. Not complete silence, not emptiness, just order. Everything that had felt scattered before, fear, doubt, confusion, had settled into something structured, neatly arranged, quiet. And in that quiet, the knocking became clearer, not louder, clearer. Each one distinct, each one carrying something I hadn't been able to grasp before. Direction, intent, meeting. I didn't hear them anymore the way I had when I first entered the mind. I understood them, not like language, not like words. Something deeper, instinctive. The figure in front of me stepped back again, creating space, not retreating, making room. And for the first time, it didn't feel like it was leading me. It felt like it was waiting for me to act. My hand was still resting lightly against my chest. I could feel the rhythm there, steady, unfaltering, not separate anymore, not foreign. It belonged. The realization didn't disturb me the way it should have. That was what unsettled me the most, because somewhere I knew I should have been resisting, panicking, trying to get out, but that reaction, it felt distant, like something I used to understand, not something I felt now. A faint knock echoed from behind me. Knock, soft, measured. I turned my head slightly, not with urgency, not with fear, just acknowledgement. The tunnel I had come from stretched back into darkness, but it didn't look the same anymore. The edges of it, the structure, the way the walls curved, I could feel them now, not just see them. Like I understood the layout without needing the map, like the mind itself was no longer something external. It was something I could sense. The knock came again. Knock, a response, a question, or maybe an invitation. My body moved before I fully processed the thought. I took a step, not toward the deeper descent, not toward the figure in front of me, back, toward the tunnel I had entered from. The reaction was immediate. The chamber shifted, not physically, not in a way I could see, but in presence. The knocks changed, sharpened, not aggressive, but attentive, focused. The figure in front of me didn't stop me, didn't reach out again. It just watched, still observing, because this wasn't about being guided anymore. This was about choice. I took another step back. The rhythm inside my chest remained steady, unbroken, but now it wasn't pulling me deeper. It was neutral, waiting. The knocks behind me aligned, one after another. Knock, knock, knock. A path, not forced, not urgent, just there. I turned fully now, facing the tunnel I had come through, and as I did, I noticed something I hadn't before. The walls, the surface of the rock, small indentations, subtle shifts, shapes, everywhere, dozens of them, maybe more, barely visible, but now impossible to ignore. Not separate figures, not fully formed, but impressions, like something existed just beneath the surface, watching, present, connected. The same presence I had felt before, but now I could see the traces of it, the outlines of where they moved, where they waited, where they listened. My breath stayed calm, measured, in sync, because none of this felt foreign anymore. It felt familiar, expected, understood. The knock came again, closer now, from the tunnel. Knock, and without hesitation, I followed it, step by step. The chamber behind me didn't react, didn't pull me back, didn't stop me, because it didn't need to. I carried it with me now. Every step I took, the rhythm stayed, the connection remained, the understanding didn't fade, and the figure in the chamber, I didn't turn to look at it again. I didn't need to because I could feel it, still there, still watching, not concerned, not threatened, because leaving didn't mean escaping. It just meant continuing. The tunnel ahead felt different now, not darker, not narrower, just known, like I had walked it before, like I understood its structure without seeing it. The knocks guided me, not pulling, not forcing, just aligning. Each step matched, each movement synchronized, and somewhere along the way I realized something that settled deeper than fear ever could. I wasn't trying to leave anymore. I wasn't trying to get out. I was moving with purpose, not my own, but not entirely theirs either. Something shared, something that had been given to me the moment I touched that wall, the moment I stepped deeper, the moment I let the rhythm take hold. The exit, I knew where it was, without checking the map, without thinking, without remembering. I just knew. And as that understanding settled in, one final realization followed, cold, clear, unavoidable. I could leave the mind, but I wasn't leaving empty, because something had come up with me and something in me had stayed behind. I paused at the point where the tunnel finally began to widen again. My headlamp's beam stretched farther, revealing walls I could finally see clearly, yet the air still carried that weight, the invisible presence I had been sensing since the first knock. It didn't fade with distance, it followed, lingering just beyond perception, like an echo you couldn't quite locate. The rhythm inside me remained steady, a heartbeat of its own, synchronized with the chamber I had left behind, yet now integrated with my own. I realized then that the Tommyknockers weren't just bound to the mind. They weren't mere spirits, warning or guiding miners. They were a living system, subtle yet omnipresent, capable of interacting with anyone who ventured deep enough to hear, to feel, and to respond. And I had responded, whether I wanted to or not, whether I knew it or not. The moment my hand pressed to my chest, the bond had begun. It didn't stop, didn't relent, didn't wait for permission. It simply existed. And now so did I, within it. The deeper I moved into the widening tunnel, the more the echoes of the knocks from behind became a distant hum, like the fading memory of a song you once loved. Yet, in the walls, subtle markings caught my eye, faint scratches, perfectly aligned stones, slight depressions forming almost recognizable patterns. The Tommyknockers had left their traces everywhere, subtle, invisible to the untrained eye, a map layered atop the mind itself. But now, I could read it. Every knock, every vibration, every nuance of presence in the stone spoke to me. I could feel the mind breathing. I could feel its logic, its language. And then I saw it, the chamber up ahead that I hadn't expected, the heart of the mind, the source. Light, or what I assumed was light, reflected off the mineral-laced walls, creating illusions of movement. Shapes seemed to flicker in the corner of my vision, just beyond the range of comprehension. Figures, shadows, perhaps both. My chest tightened, a reminder that even now I was not alone. Even now, the Tommyknockers had a presence far beyond mere sound. They observed, they tested, they integrated those who ventured too deep, and I had been integrated, whether I liked it or not. I took a cautious step forward, then another, letting the rhythm guide my motion. With each footfall, I became more aware of the balance between the unseen and the tangible, The mine itself seemed to respond to me, subtle shifts beneath my boots, a quiet resonance of movement in its walls. Every knock now felt like a conversation, a pattern of questioning and answering. And for the first time, I understood. The knocks that had warned, that had guided, were merely invitations. Invitations to understand, to participate, to exist within a system older than any miner, older than any charted map, older than the very land itself. And yet, the figure from before, its presence persisted in my mind. I could feel it in the rhythm still pulsing with me. Its guidance had ended, but the connection remained. I didn't see it again, didn't need to. It was part of the system now, woven into the mind's heartbeat as well as mine. I could feel its patience, its certainty, the subtle but undeniable weight of its intention. It had led me here, not to trap me, not to scare me, but to integrate me into something far larger, something that existed beneath the surface, hidden, almost forgotten but never truly absent. I exhaled slowly. The echoes of the knocks had softened to a gentle murmur. The mind was calm now, aware of me, accepting of my presence, and as I moved deeper, I realized the terrifying beauty of what I had experienced. The Tommyknockers were not just guardians of the tunnels, they were keepers of something eternal, something that connected the living to the mind, the past to the present, the known to the unknowable. I carried that rhythm with me now, a bond invisible, unspoken, and yet undeniable, a connection that would never leave, even when I stepped back into the world above, where sunlight and air existed freely. And in that realization, a shiver ran down my spine because I understood something crucial. Once you've been touched by the Tommyknockers, you're never really free, not entirely, not ever. The exit came sooner than I expected. The tunnel widened gradually, the air lightened, and the oppressive weight that had hung over me for hours or maybe days, time had lost all meaning down there, began to lift. Sunlight, or the faintest hint of it, crept into the opening ahead, soft and almost forgiving after the suffocating darkness of the mine. My boots kicked up dust, teeny motes dancing in the beams like stars in a miniature universe. For a moment, I thought I was free. I thought the connection had ended, that I could step back into the world above and leave the ancient rhythm behind. But I couldn't, not really. The rhythm in my chest pulsed still, subtle but unmistakable. The knocks were gone, but their pattern remained embedded in me. Every heartbeat, every breath carried their echo. I realized with a mixture of awe and dread that I was forever marked by the mind. The Tommyknockers had not simply guided me, they had imparted themselves, a silent code threaded into my very being. Wherever I went, whatever I did, that pulse would remain, a constant reminder of the world below, of the hidden structures beneath the surface of the earth. Stepping into the sunlight, the familiar shapes of trees and rocks greeted me, yet they felt alien. I moved carefully, aware now of every vibration in the ground, every whisper of wind against the leaves. The mind had expanded beyond its walls. It existed in me now. I could sense the shifts in the terrain, the subtle anomalies that a normal human eye would never notice. My mind sharpened in ways that were both exhilarating and terrifying. I was attuned to a world beneath the surface, a layer hidden to everyone else, a layer that was alive and waiting. And then I saw it, a faint glimmer, almost invisible, near the edge of the clearing ahead. It wasn't a creature, not quiet. It was a shape, a presence, a reminder, a fragment of the figure from the tunnels, or maybe an extension of the mine itself. It watched, waiting, and I knew with an instinctive certainty that it was not hostile. But it wasn't benign either. It was a sentinel, patient and eternal, existing outside the constraints of time. It had allowed me to leave, yes, but it had ensured I carried a piece of the mind with me. I exhaled again, slowly, feeling the weight of what I had experienced settling in. The Tommyknockers weren't mere legends, weren't simple warnings for miners. They were ancient custodians, keepers of a rhythm older than the tunnels themselves, orchestrating the movements of anyone brave or foolish enough to descend into their domain. And I had not only descended, I had become part of it. Looking back at the shadowed mouth of the mine, I realized that some part of me would always remain there, a pulse in the darkness, a beat in the silent knocks, and perhaps one day another would come, hear the rhythm, feel the pull, and step into the depths where I had been transformed. I stepped fully into the light, the outside world stretching before me, and yet I understood the truth, heavy and unyielding. I had left the mine physically, but the mine had never left me. Its guardians, its knocks, its rhythm, they were woven into my essence now, forever guiding, forever watching, forever shaping the way I would exist in a world that didn't know the hidden pulse beneath its feet. And with that understanding, I moved forward, not free, not bound, but changed, forever changed.